Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Discovery. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, a.k.a. Caliban, and I'm starting to suspect that this autographed 8x10 of Javid Iqbal might not be authentic. I'm joined on the show, as usual, by Ella Pearson. She is the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast on the Chronic Rift Network, which is at chronicrift.com. Welcome back, Ella.
Thank you.
Ella, when can we expect another alien-themed episode of Generations Geek?
Imminently.
Imminently? Which
Imminently.
Immediately.
Coming right at you.
Okay, all right, good. You guys have a plan to, go through all of the Alien movies?
Yes. So, next up will be our Aliens episode.
Sure.
Of course, since we've done the prequels, if we want to count those, and with the originals.
Sure.
And then we did our Alien episode, which is up, as you know, and then Aliens will be soon, and then we'll be interviewing the author of Treknology.
Oh, wonderful. Any plans to dovetail into the Predator universe?
Well, you know what? We'll see. We've been talking about doing the crossover, but I personally haven't even seen any Predator movies yet. So if we do, it'll be my first time viewing, and we'll record right after, and it'll be a party.
Yeah, that'll be a treat for you and for us too, hearing about your first experiences with those. And also, you can fit it in with the Shane Black one that's supposed to come out one of these days. If you desire to. And joining us again on the show tonight is William Leisner. He's a 3-time winner of the Strange New Worlds writing competition and the author of several books and stories set in the Star Trek universe, the most recent of which is the original series novel, The Shocks of Adversity. Bill, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Aaron.
Good to have you back on the program. I wanted to ask you, this is a little off the subject of Star Trek, but we were talking at Convergence a year or two back, and you were telling me about a short story that you wrote in which Rod Serling and Gene Roddenberry team up to solve a murder. Can you talk more about that?
Oh, yes. That is my original novelette, I guess, is A Dimension of Death. It's currently available as an ebook at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the ebook retailers. And like you say, it takes place during the final year of The Twilight Zone, the same year that Gene Roddenberry was doing his pre-Star Trek series, The Lieutenant, and they were both based out of MGM Studios. And I came up with the idea of what would happen if the two of them had cross paths at this particular point in their careers.
Sure. I love that. And that just comes from, I assume, like your love of Star Trek and The Twilight Zone. Oh,
yes. I've been a fan of, both forever. Rod Serling has been a writing idol of mine for, many, many years.
Sure. Yeah, I love stories like that where characters, like famous historical characters, meet up. I think like Wold Newton fantasy type things when like Sherlock Holmes teams up with Doc Bronze or something like that. I love those genre mashups.
It was a lot of fun to write and a lot of fun to fit little pieces of their respective careers together.
Sure. And does it give a look at sort of TV of the time of the mid-'60s as well?
Oh, yes. It's like I said, it does actually take place on the MGM studio lots.
Sure.
while they're filming The Twilight Zone, and has little bits of nods to television of the year, like Perry Mason and Candid Camera and things like that.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's awesome. And for interested readers, it's available, like you said, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all those places, so check it out. Now that we're in Chapter 2 of Discovery, what do you think of the show up to this point, Bill?
I am really impressed by the way it is all now coming together. I'm at the start of this Chapter 2 after the break, it was like, oh, the Mirror Universe. We're just going to go back to do Mirror Universe episodes like DS9 did, and they're just going to go and do some wacky stuff. But no, they're going. This is like now going to be at least a 4-episode arc, and
yeah,
the theories that you have been espousing for the past couple of weeks have actually panned out.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. I would not say that they were conspiracy theories so much as just, getting the feel of the terrain, seeing, where the direction of the journey is going. But yeah, a lot of those things have kind of paid off. And as far as you were talking about, like, telling a story in this mirror universe as being different than earlier shows, it helps that it's a lot of compressed storytelling. The episode was about 38 minutes long tonight, which is really short.
I was shocked when it just, we're already going into the next time on. It's
yeah,
like, what?
Right. And even the scenes of what we see, I felt like they were really driving it forward, like just giving you these quick hits, like, he's sick, you got to help him. Okay, we've got the technology. We got this. Like, it just, it's very, very terse storytelling. We're just kind of getting right through it to the next part.
Yep.
Well, like I said, we are just watched the episode 12 of Star Trek Discovery entitled Vaulting Ambition, and we're here to break it down for you. As always, we're setting a course for the spoiler zone, listeners, so be warned. We're glad you've decided to join us, but if you haven't seen this episode, spoilers are incoming, so watch out. The official synopsis for the episode this week is: Burnham heads to the ISS Charon with a special gift for the Emperor. With the help of an unexpected source, Stamets gains clarity while trapped inside the mycelial network, and Saru asks for L'Rell's help. The episode is written by Jordan Nardino and directed by Hanel M. Culpepper. And, well, let's recap real fast. Last week on Star Trek Discovery, big things were happening. We met Mir Saru, Mir Vok, Mir Sarek, Mir Stamets, Tyler Volk, which I've heard there's a portmanteau now. Ella, you'll love this. Vyler, have you heard that? So we'll just call him Vyler from now on. Vyler got exposed, and guess what? Mir Giorgio is the Emperor. And this week, things aren't much better. We're right up to our necks in it. The title of this episode, of course, comes from a quote from Macbeth, and Trek is no stranger to a good allusion, or a good Shakespearean allusion at that. And what I'm wondering is, the full line from Macbeth is, "I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other." So who is this referring to? Who has the ambition? Who's the spur in this case? Does this refer to a particular person, or is it just covering all of the action here?
I don't know. Would it be Lorca?
Well, spoilers. I'm not really, but yeah. At the end of the episode, I think we kind of find out that maybe it does refer to Lorca.
There's no shortage of people with ambitions in the episode.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
You got your Emperor wants to solidify her grip on her power, and you got Lorca, who has some kind of agenda.
Yes. And you've got Vyler, if we're going to stick with that, and L'Rell, who have had, or at least had shades of kind of a Macbeth and Lady Macbethian kind of relationship. So, this kind of goes into a lot of things that I want to talk about this week. Let's talk about, first of all, I guess, what I think of the big reveal of the episode, which is that, the quote-unquote theory that some people had, that Lorca was the mirror universe's Lorca and not ours all along, has been true. So does that retroactively kind of make him not the main character, but sort of a bigger deal than he's been previously? He's not just this kind of mean captain. He's kind of set all this in motion.
I think it's a really big deal, right? Like,
oh yes,
it changes everything. Especially since going in, I feel like everyone's initial reactions were like, why is he such a weird captain? Like, he acts so different from every other Star Trek captain we know. And it's like, oh.
And
okay.
where, up until now, it was kind of like, okay, Michael is, they've said from the beginning, this is going to be different because we're going to focus on Michael rather than a captain.
Right.
And so now we realize that the reason we're not making the captain the central heroic figure is because there's something very wrong with him.
Right. He's a baddie.
And not just regular wrong with him.
I had I have a couple continuity questions, actually. It's sort of introduced the idea that in this parallel universe. It isn't just opposite. It's a little different in that I guess all humans have like a light sensitivity in this universe. Now, that's not nothing that's backed up by any previous existing canon, is it?
No.
Okay.
I mean...
Yeah, I was a little confused as to why they chose that, but when Giorgio's eyes hurt and then she went on to like explain, I was like, oh my god!
Right. Yeah, right.
Like, this isn't happening.
Right. And if everybody's eyes hurt in that universe, then why do they have this big glowing ball in the middle of the Caribbean cruise ship from hell?
I mean, the only thing is that they always shot the mirror, for DS9 and for Enterprise, they always shot the mirror universe in darker tones.
Yeah.
That's true.
Of course, that was always because it's evil and it's dark.
It's literally a darker universe, right?
But this is, I mean, that's a retcon of that, I suppose.
Yeah, so it fits in a little, but...
Although if you go back to Mirror, Mirror, the Wildman Kirk wasn't squinting and saying...
Yeah.
Right. In every revolution, there's one man that wears sunglasses, right? Well, I guess that raises the question then, or maybe it's just an afterthought, where's our Lorca? Did he go down with the Baran then?
That was my question. Literally how, so Mir Lorca got to, the Federation universe.
Right.
And somehow took did he take the place of our Lorca? Or, the real Lorca? Or, because, I mean...
Or did the two Barans cross over?
Yeah.
And they had both been destroyed, and the real Lorca went down with his ship, and the Mirror Lorca said, screw this, I'm going to jump into the escape pod.
Yeah, I'm a captain now.
Plus, he has to destroy the evidence, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go. I don't know, I'm confused, and so feel like the first half of the season was not slow, but now that we've we've gotten into the Mirror universe, everything's happening, everything's happening at once. Last week we had the reveal of Vyler, and then this week we had Lorca right after, which I wasn't expecting at all.
Right.
I don't know. I'm shooketh.
So, verily thou art shooketh. Do you think that Mirror Stamets then was instrumental in getting Lorca into our universe?
And that's something I'm curious about, because Mirror Stamets was evidently on, or is evidently on, the Mirror Charon, and he was experimenting with the spore drive, and it doesn't seem like he was getting anywhere. He was just in the lab and theorizing.
Yeah. So
what the connection between him and whatever happened to the Mirror Buron, that's not clear yet.
Right. Yeah, I was just sort of positing that, perhaps that's how he sort of ended up in his spore coma, or whatever you want to call it, was through some kind of experiment to get him over there. Because we don't really see, a lot. He does interact with him after he meets himself. Nice to meet you, me. And then explains sort of what's going on. He does act as kind of an antagonist as our Stamets is trying to kind of work his way through the mysteries of his visions and what's going on. And so now that they're both awake and he is the Mirror Universe guy, I have to imagine that he will sort of be acting as some kind of antagonist to what our Stamets is trying to do to get people home.
I was kind of hoping that because Stamets is just so pure, that Mirror Stamets would also just be kind of nice, he's chill, he he works for the bad guys, but is he gonna hurt our characters? No, I hope, but I'm also if he doesn't have full understanding or full control over all of the spore science. Right. Then I feel like that's motive for him to start being sketchy right there. Because I think if he was going to be evil, evil Stamets would do anything to get his hands on that.
That's true. But they both have a scientific detachment, I suppose, sort of like both Spock and Mirror Spock's sort of logical detachment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that will mean that he's not as evil as we think he could be. Another question of continuity. I know that this sort of slides around a little bit, but they have this information on the Defiant, but doesn't the Defiant go through inner space like later in our timeline? I know they said there's a temporal element to, what happens in inner space, and I'm not exactly up on my Enterprise episodes where they're dealing with the Defiant, but it seems like it can sort of shifts around as far as the time frame goes.
Well, the Enterprise episode, when they had the two-part Mirror Universe story on Enterprise, they tied in the Defiant from, oh gosh, what is the original series title? The Tholian Web. Tholian Web. Mm-hmm. So they posited that the Defiant from the Tholian Web came through to the Mirror Universe and also came back 100 years.
Right. Okay, sure.
So it was discovered during Archer's time.
Right.
In the Mirror Universe. And that was the Mirror Universe's first clue as to the Federation universe, the Prime universe.
Sure. So I guess the fun question is, do you think that we'll get a 100-year-old Defiant flying around in the current Mirror Universe? If it's still out there somewhere.
I would love that.
I would love that, too. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I don't know. I'd be surprised, but I would be so down for, one of the, an old-looking ship. I mean, these ships are, they're the same. It's the same time period, but,
Sure, yeah.
Well, then they couldn't have it look old. Wait.
Well, okay. Maybe, they'll put some, some glitz on it.
I'm not as excited anymore.
Yeah, I mean, given the design decisions that they've made for this series, I'm not sure how they would do that.
I support them, but my initial excitement was just we can have an old-looking ship, and then I was like, wait, no.
Yeah, I mean, but the funny thing is that on the Enterprise episode, they filmed that classic set in such a way that was wow.
Yeah.
This is shiny and modern and much more, bright and futuristic than what we're aware of or what we're familiar with.
It can't be too bright though.
But it was too bright. It was way too bright, and they didn't notice that the lights were too bright in that episode either.
I think that this series, like you were talking about, sort of paying things off, I think there's a good chance that we could see that still, because they definitely seem to want to deliver the fan service, but I think they've definitely done their homework and they've laid the groundwork for these sort of payoffs, oh yeah, this guy really is a Klingon, or oh, that guy really is from the Mirror Universe, and they definitely they've earned those reveals. So yeah, seeing the Defiant flying would be pretty cool. I think it's time to play a new game, which is Choose a Kelpian.
Oh my god. Choose a Kelpian for what? For what purpose?
Well, if you don't ask.
Oh my god.
Do Kelpians count as seafood? That's what I need to know.
Oh no.
That was brutal, and that's how you know they're bad guys.
Oh my! Yeah. This episode was so dark.
Yeah.
That scene when Georgiou's just when she just drops that bomb and it cuts to Burnham and Burnham's no. Yeah. And then the ganglia. Oh my god.
It's the best part.
And they establish from the start, Kelpians are prey.
Oh man.
Yeah, and if you can get them on the hoof fresh like that, that's the best way to get them.
Oh my.
But yeah, that's. I thought that was, shocking in a way that it should be, but it was definitely over the top. It's we get it, they're evil, but geez, they're eating people.
Oh man, how long is Burnham gonna keep that secret from Saru too?
Yeah, I know.
Didn't even know that they're slaves, and now it's so much worse. She has to be by the way, I didn't tell you because I thought it was bad that you guys are servants, but guess what?
You're delicious.
Unbelievably worse.
Right. Something that I noticed that they played well in that scene is that Burnham's really good at this. I mean, she gets tripped up because apparently the mirror version isn't very good at this, but she's really good at playing this role. She has Giorgio all the way up to the point where Giorgio pulls a knife on her because she's like, yeah, the other you was going to screw me over and all this. But, like, she's getting really good at playing this role.
She was really good up until the ganglia, and then I think the cracks started forming.
Oh boy, can we get that to go? Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, Sonequa just continues to impress me.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's been really good, and I think that we've really seen how this character is really good at getting the job done. I mean, any Starfleet officer is good at what they do and is determined, but she definitely has something extra, something special. I really like how after she confronts Giorgio and they're talking about, just immediately she doesn't. I don't know if it's part of her character and just her integrity, but her immediate play is, okay, look, I'm from another universe. Like, maybe this is the only card I have. Maybe I'm sick of lying. Maybe I want to come clean to this alternate version of my mentor. But here's the deal. I'm from another universe. Check this out. And her having the badge, it kind of becomes, from a story perspective, a kind of talisman, to the next part here. She's able to prove that, she's from another universe, and it sort of leads to the next thing.
I really saw that as, like, she had nothing else to say that would make Emperor Giorgio listen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think that she was going to, and then, I was very surprised by a lot of things in this episode, but...
I mean, she didn't have a lot of cards in her hand.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, just a badge. And then, of course, once the secret is revealed or Giorgio confirms it, then she totally kills everybody else!
She can't have that information leaking.
She just wanted everybody, yeah. And then immediately she's like, "Hey, can you keep a secret?" And the guy's like, "Yes, I can."
Absolutely.
Yes. The answer is yes. My lips are sealed. So, the way that plot line sort of develops is we essentially get, a full reveal from Burnham to the Emperor about the spore drive technology, and it seems like there's a tacit agreement between them to exchange information about the Defiant for spore drive information. Do you think that Burnham will follow through on that?
I don't think she intends to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And, of course, at that point in the story, we didn't realize that there was the Mirror Stammet who was working along those same lines. And she doesn't know that either. That's another interesting piece of the story that we'll have to look forward to.
I wouldn't be surprised either way, because I think they're getting a little desperate.
Oh, okay.
Because I would be desperate and terrified, especially now with Lorca. I'd be like, it's time to get out.
Yeah.
Like...
That will change the game totally, I think, when she learns about that.
Yeah.
But she's always been, she's just Starfleet through and through, and she's always really been about the objective. So if the objective is get everybody home, then maybe it doesn't matter what happens in this universe. Although, we're talking about Giorgio. We're talking about somebody that she has a connection to, even if it's not her Giorgio. So, yeah, it's nice to not know where the story's going. I'm not saying that we've totally called everything. We've seen, like I said, the shape of the story, but yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, and I mean, even with like the reveals of, Vyler and.
I like Vyler. I think that's sticking.
And then,
me too.
And Mirror Lorca. Even now that we do have those reveals that have been planted from, the very beginning. I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes.
Yeah. I also I hope that Burnham, like, as a character, I hope she doesn't feel like she owes this Giorgio something. Because that's kind of something that they were talking about at the beginning of the episode. Like, Lorca was like, this isn't your Giorgio, and it's
right.
Like, it's not, she's gonna kill you.
Right.
So, I don't know, but obviously, like, I mean, it's so intense, like, I can't even imagine, like, and then eating dinner with her, I mean, Burnham eating dinner with Giorgio, and just, like, her feelings about betraying her captain, like, and then this Giorgio calling her daughter, like, that's all I think really overwhelming.
Yeah, and was there a implication that that Mir Burnham had a relationship with Mir Lorca?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
that was not okay.
Yeah. Odd. Strange. But everything's gross. It's the Mirror universe.
Puts a whole spin on everything that we've already seen happen. Like, he's like, yeah, you're like a convict, but you can be on my ship. That's fine. Like, yikes.
Yeah, definitely strange. Do you think that at this point, and we're kind of skipping ahead to maybe who's going to live and who's going to die, but do you see Lorca coming back to our universe at all?
Yeah. Unless he gets executed.
I would not be surprised if Lorca does not see the end of season 1.
Me neither.
Whether he's going to bite it before he gets back to the Prime universe, or whether he survives and he decides that he actually does like the Prime universe.
Right.
I mean, like I just said, there's so much that, there's.
It's a lot. Everything is a lot right now.
And, all bets are off at this point.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know if this is just me, but in the past few episodes, I feel like there have been moments between Lorca and Burnham that have been more like mentor-mentee. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like I saw them getting a little bit closer, and Michael was a little bit less like weirded out by this creepy captain who has like a torture room. And now with this reveal, it's alarming. Like, yeah. I'm interested to see how her character reacts. Like, honestly, because I think that she has some loyalty to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not once she finds out like everything that he's done in the Mirror universe, but I think that they had like a good I don't even know, like Captain whatever Michael is, and she's not in Starfleet relationship.
Yeah, right.
And this is going to change like everything.
And I think the position that she's in, and maybe just her personality, she's not really all that judgmental. I think that even if she found out the stuff about him, her instinct would be, look, we'll get you back. Starfleet will deal with you or whatever, but you don't deserve to like die here. But we'll see. Speaking of dying, hey, we get to see Dr. Culber again. Hugh returns, and we find out that the mycelial network is the afterlife, or what's going on there exactly?
I was going to ask, like, why is he there? And he's like, because at first I was like, okay, like, Paul is seeing him because in some part of his head he knows that he's gone. And then Culber was like, I'm gone. And I was like, I'm confused. Back up. Why are you sentient?
Yeah, is that like a hallucination, or is he's somehow in the network, or we didn't see anybody else who had recently departed, so.
Or is that completely a illusion in Stamets's head?
True, yeah, it still could be that.
Possibly.
Because since he was sort of gone when it happened.
I knew you were dead. I held you in my body. Yeah. I held your body in my arms.
Right. And the mirror Stamets had no perception of him, it seemed, as well.
Yeah, he didn't really react.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Also, though, if this is what they meant by, like, Culber's coming back, it's like, okay, like, I don't even want to hear it.
Well,
honestly.
Yeah. Although, I do like the fact that whether it's really the person or not, the actor does get to come back, and he does play an instrumental role in him figuring it out, and kind of finding his way back.
Yeah, and it's nice for them to have, like, the goodbye, because when he died, it was so quick. It was like the audience didn't get to really feel that moment.
Right.
Because it was just like neck snap and Ash is out, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you have the actual goodbye, and you have the goodbye kiss.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to let go of me so that you can go save the universe.
Yeah. It was a great scene. It was very touching. I doubt that Mirror Stamets has anybody like that waiting for him at home.
Probably not.
And it seems there's an implication that Mirror Stamets has poisoned the mycelial network somehow, and that poison or taint has spread to our Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like all of the entire forest is dead. Is that?
That's it's shriveling away.
Dead or
Yeah,
dying.
like,
yeah.
I don't know, because the spore drive is how they got there. So if the spore drive doesn't have spores, like.
And if they have to go back through inner space, they'll all come out crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's not going to work.
Tear each other apart.
So as far as future predictions are concerned, I guess the spore network being somehow disabled by the end of the series, so that it's not available in regular TOS continuity, seems to be right on track.
Yeah. It would make total sense because it has to go at some point.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that seems to be on track. Here's something that is on track or isn't on track. I don't even know at this point. We've got a Klingon who's become a human somehow, and a Klingon and a human are within one body, and that's a war, as Saru says. And my question is, why? Like, what's the nature of what they did to him that's so rough? I mean, I don't understand. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
That Arn Darvin guy lasted for 30 years hanging out around Sherman's planet or whatever. So how come it's so rough for this guy?
And then, from the first that the whole Vogt-Tyler theories started popping up, it's like, okay, so how, what exactly is it? How does that compare to what we know about, Darwin, and how does that compare to?
Yeah,
and why? And how do you get past DNA tests? And how do you get
right?
Because they keep playing. They've said that, like, because he killed Culber because Culber was like, "You're not you," because I just did like these scans or whatever, and some like there's scar tissue around your organs and your bones. There's something about your bones that like they were shrunk or something weird. Right. But then they talk about it sometimes like, oh, it's like all in his head, and it's like, how could scar tissue could just be scar tissue, but they've said stuff about his bones before, where it's like they've changed his bones. Right. So
and in this episode, they said that L'Rell said that he was captured at the Battle of the Binary Stars.
Yeah.
And
where's like the real Ash Tyler? Like, is he dead? Is he like, I don't understand what would have happened to him, or if he even looks like what we know Ash Tyler as, because if it's not his body, I'm
maybe it's like that Nicolas Cage movie. They had to stick Vox face on Tyler, and so he's walking around with Vox face on. That's just a guess. Actually, from the episode Errand of Mercy, we learned that Klingons have mind scanner technology, so perhaps they have some ability to transfer the psyche from one person to another. And they definitely have some sort of genetic engineering program, so maybe that explains how they could hide his DNA. It's complicated.
Yeah.
But the important thing to figure out is, what's going on with the laser fingers at the end of the episode?
I'm not even sure like what happened, because she looked at the end of it. L'Rell looked like sad, like something had it didn't work, and because then at first he was speaking in Klingon, and then when it got to the end, he cut back to English, and he was still saying the Klingon phrases, but he was saying them in English, and then it cut to L'Rell, and she just looked like sad, like she had lost him. Right. And so I don't, like, was it successful? Was it not successful? Like, what would have went wrong?
Well, it seems like maybe the operation was a success, but the patient died, because she does give a furious shout to let Stovacor know a warrior's coming, it seems
like was that what she was doing?
That was how I read it.
Because I couldn't tell. I was like, okay, so she's screaming, so is Vok dead, but Ash is alive? Like, I don't know what's happening. Like... I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Well,
we'll get there.
Those laser finger tools were.
Yeah, they can just go through his hair and his skull.
What are you doing? These are the wrong tools. That's not for brain surgery.
And it's Federation equipment because it's not Klingon equipment. So it's like, what?
Right.
That,
so why?
What?
And why was it her? I don't know.
I guess from a meta perspective, I guess now my question is, what was the point of all of it? Like, we have this big secret, which now that I think about it is maybe hiding a bunch of other secrets. But we have this big secret, which is like clearly one actor is now in another role. But we asked last week, what was the plan? And like now that the plan has been derailed and this happens, what was the point of the entire storyline? Like, I trust this show. I have faith in the writers that this is leading somewhere. But at this point, it kind of feels like, that's something that just kind of didn't really go anywhere.
Right. Yes, exactly. I mean, I've been trying to put the pieces together, and I go back to the Harry Mudd time jumping episode, and Harry Mudd was trying to bring in Discovery for the Klingons.
Right.
And so, but Ash was very actively fighting against that.
Right.
So he's not on the Klingon side from that episode.
But that was also before he started having his like PTSD flashbacks, right?
Yes.
Like it didn't kick in until after that episode. So in that episode, Vyler, whoever, still thought that he was Ash.
Yeah. But if he had let Harry Mudd capture the Discovery, that would have been mission accomplished.
I've got no idea.
Nobody told him that he should play a game of solitaire, so he wasn't...
Right. No, that's it.
Right. Well, I think we've already talked about it a little, but it's time to check our still intact threat ganglia and try to figure out who's going to the big mycelial network in the sky, possibly in future episodes. I'll put one in real fast. We've got somebody coming out. We see in the preview for next week, Landry. Looks like Landry's going to come back.
Ooh.
So that's kind of fun.
Did not spot that.
Yeah. I don't think we watched it.
Oh, you didn't watch them? Okay. Well, slight spoilers then.
I think maybe Lorca. I think there's a chance that he'll get executed by Giorgio.
Okay.
But I would be surprised if there wasn't like first there needs to be a reckoning between him and Burnham.
Yeah.
I think Giorgio is probably going to bite it.
Really?
Okay.
And at Burnham's hand.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
We're all speechless. I think thematically, yeah, that would fit, but that would be, if you're Burnham, do you just get home and go, I quit. I send me to prison. That's fine.
Just because you need one more kick in the teeth for Michael Burnham.
Right.
Oh man.
This is wow. I feel bad for this author's characters, but yeah. I think those are both pretty good guesses. I think if we're going to bring Landry back, I think we can just offer just as fast, so she'll probably go down again. I had a question. Are we supposed to... So there's this character that's torturing Lorca a lot in this episode, and maybe I wasn't paying attention in previous episodes, but Maddox, right? Are we supposed to know the thing about his sister, or is that an entirely new thing that's kind of been introduced? So
I think that's new, right?
Okay.
I think that was completely unexplored backstory until right now.
Because until right after that, the audience still didn't know that was Mir Lorca, and so I think that we're supposed to be with what we think his character is at that point.
Sure.
Which during that scene, by the way, I was like convinced. I was like, all right, it's not Mir Lorca, it's real Lorca, and he doesn't know the name, and that's why he's like trying to help but not really saying anything. And then afterwards I was like, oh, you're just a horrible person.
Yep, you don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but he's our bad guy. Well, I think that's just about it for this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTpod for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both this show, Discoverage, and our other show, Enterprising Individuals, are released. You can tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage or email us at it's EISTpod@gmail.com. While you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show. Give us a rating and a review if you can think of it, because it really helps us out. And stop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/EISTpod. And if you like the show, tell a friend. Well, you can join us next Sunday night, January 28th, 28th for our next episode of Discoverage. We'll be talking about the 13th episode of Star Trek Discovery, What's Past is Prologue, which is another Shakespearean allusion, and one that Trek has used several times before, and I hope they kept their punch card because, hey, the next one's free. Ella, thanks for joining me on the show. Remind people where they can find you online.
GenerationsGeek.com and GenerationsGeek on Instagram.
Perfect. And Bill, where can people find you on the interwebs?
If anybody is interested, I am on Twitter. I am at Leisner. And on Facebook, I am William Leisner. And if you want to check out my books on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, it's William Leisner.
Yeah, awesome. Check out Bill's Amazon page, too, and you can look him up on Goodreads. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks for listening, and we are signing off. This is Aaron for Bill and Ella saying live long and prosper.